This week's show brought to you by Frank Shoup, Georgetown's big name in cars. Roosters, a fun casual joint. Georgetown Advantage Air, now locally owned and operated by Gene Thompson.
Welcome again to the News Graphic Scott County Coaches Show with Coach Jim McKee. I'm Kal Oakes, and the last show of the regular season, Coach. We made it.
Well, first off, Cal, I just want to appreciate you guys for the extra effort that you've made with this Coaches Show. Hopefully it's been good. Hopefully we'll have a long run in the playoffs, and hopefully we can build on it for next year and find things to do to make it even better.
Absolutely.
But at any time that you have an opportunity to promote the kids that make up our program, I think you need to take the time to do it. I'll be honest with you, I get irritated with media sometimes. It's just because the media, they want you whenever they want you on their time schedule. And I had a guy, and I appreciate you all. You wait around, we do it after practice. But I'll have a guy show up here from this channel or that channel. Hey, Coach, can we grab you real quick? And I always say, well, you just don't go interrupt Coach Stoops and grab him. And but this is just as important to these guys as the guys playing at Kentucky. Zach Webb walking out of the field house there, playing with a banged up hand, had a banged up foot. It means just as much to him as it does the guy at Kentucky. But I also realize that when I do get irritated with media sometimes, that there are plenty of people that would be glad to coach Scott County High School football and meet the media requests. So I try to meet them whenever I can.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun. It's fun being part of this ride so far, and another fun experience the other night was wrapping up that 9th district title in 10 years, which I know is a special thing to everybody. It represents dominance that you guys have had over those Lexington programs and continue to have. But what made this journey unique and this particular championship special?
Well, I think they all are. And, it's because of the different makeup of the team. And that's where, when we're not as successful as we hope we can be or want to be, it's like a coach's cliche, but it's really true in that, I've played, I've coached, I've been a part of championship teams in college and as a player and as an assistant coach and a head coach that have won different championships, but you just want to get the kid to experience that. And, I get so irritated. When I get irritated with kids, I go back and look at it, really the guy to get irritated with is me. And so what was satisfying for me was our staff was able to put the kids in that position. So they could put that picture out on social media, on their Twitter account. They can put it on their Instagram. They can have it. That's something they take a lot of pride in.
And we've
and my sons, my oldest son's a senior. That's one thing people lie to you. If they say, oh, coaching your son, it's different. And he knows it's different. I know it's different. Clay was able to win some district championships. We've won it each of the 3 years Colby's been on the team. And that means a lot to me because, I helped raise Colby, as his dad, to when he graduates from high school to spread his wings and go. I'm not going to be sad when he graduates. I'm going to be pumped. That's like I'm changing the name of senior night. No more. Kickoff night. Kickoff for the playoffs. And I'll be excited for Colby to kick the next phase of his life off. But right now, I want to experience everything I can with him down the stretch.
It was a special kickoff night. A ton of seniors on this roster, 20-something, I believe. But the thing that was notable for me about kickoff night is a lot of underclassmen doing a lot of big things for this program, and it just seems to be rolling on. You and I had a conversation at the end of the game about 7th grade winning a championship, and the freshman team being undefeated, and the JV basically being undefeated, at least in the state of Kentucky, and it seems no end in sight.
Well, we had a great freshman game Monday night. The paid attendance was over 600 people, which is the biggest attendance we've had. We beat Lafayette, who was 8-0 coming in the game. We were 8-0, beat them 14-6. And we're going to play Lafayette again on Saturday in the championship. And our JV won. They're 7-1. Coach Watts does a great job at Scott Middle. And I'm not citing the guys at Royal Spring or GMS. They do a good job too. So really every level of our feeder program that I've got my hands at least directly or indirectly on, I feel good about. And, Brian Hickey and those guys at, Scott County, Martin Carpenter, those guys at Scott County Youth Football, I'm not as involved on a day-to-day basis with those guys, but my sons came through that league when those guys were the leadership of it, and it was exactly what you wanted for youth football when my boys were playing. So I can only imagine it continues.
Going up to Cov-Cath on Friday night, and that's an interesting challenge. It's not a game that's going to affect playoff seeding, but I would imagine it's a game that you want to win and you want to play well to kind of build something going into that first week of the playoffs.
Well, yes, you always want to win and you always want to play well. The only thing I would say is, really at the end of the day, it will be forgotten about after the first round or so of the playoffs. So if there's something that we need to look at or work on to see if it's a go for us before we do it in one of the playoff games and fall on our face, now's the time to do it. And if we fall, we're a lot better off to do it and fall on our face now when it really, I don't ever want to say doesn't matter, but when it is not make or break. And the good thing is to have a good opponent to go against. Sometimes you can try some of those things against a weak opponent and you think everything's a go, and then when you try it against a strong opponent, it's not a go.
And they are a good opponent.
Oh, no, very good.
They've got a guy who's kind of synonymous with Georgetown college football, and Eddie Evanston as head coach of the program, and they're going in the right direction, obviously, in 5A.
Well, and, they've had a long tradition of good football at Covington Catholic High School. They beat our JV team last year, which was the only JV game we lost. We were 9-1. And, they obviously take pride in what they're doing, and they care. But that's great. I mean, that's who we want to play. We care too, and we take pride in what we're doing. And that certainly doesn't bother us. If anything, it fires us up more.
Obviously, this week the people can look at the playoff bracket online and kind of see where things are going. And what are your early views on that? Not all the holes have been filled yet, but you kind of have an idea of certainly your first opponent and then where things might shake out after that.
Well, I think that. I've been guilty of it, you've been guilty of it, and everybody in America has been guilty of looking ahead. And I think it's a really delicate balance, because if all you ever think about is today, I mean, don't you have a thought process right now of something you might like to do in the next 6 months to a year with the Georgetown News Graphic Sports?
And we all think that way.
So we got to have everything focused on today.
We're already thinking about the basketball coach's show. We're sitting here.
Oh, this will be much better. So already thinking about today, or do I think like 95% about today, but also I got to have a broad-minded thought.
Mm-hmm.
And
so is that what it is? About 95.5?
Yeah, it's about, but I mean, anybody says they haven't looked at the bracket and then the 6A's, nuts. I mean, they're lying. I looked at it, and I know J-Town High School's really struggled. Mm-hmm. And that looks like an extremely winnable game for us. And I actually have the plan of action already put together for that week. The kids don't know it yet, so they'll probably watch it. But, I'm going to cut them loose this weekend. And I normally don't ever do that. But I'm going to cut them loose on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and try to let them get one final breakaway. And then we'll come back in on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and get ready for J-Town. And then it's going to –
everybody beyond that has been represented in that AP top 10 in 6A.
100%. It's going to crank down. I haven't seen Connor. But, I look at the scores just like you do. That's who we're going to play. We're going to play Connor. Connor's going to play Dunbar. I can't imagine that Dunbar at this juncture in the season would have the momentum to be able to go to Connor and beat them. So we're going to play Connor, who looks like a very formidable opponent. Then going to turn around and probably play Ryle or Cooper, who looks like very formidable opponents. Then probably going to turn around and travel to Simon Kenton or Lafayette or even Madison Central. All look good. And then obviously, Trinity doesn't have a challenge to the semifinals. Their first 3-round games will be easy. And, we're going to get Trinity St. Extramail in the finals in all likelihood. And there'll be some upsets, but that's what it looks like. And I really hope we make a big run for the kids because, we're getting removed. None of these guys have ever played on Thanksgiving weekend, and that's bad. That's bad for your program. You want them doing that. You want that Thanksgiving dinner. We're over at Cal's house and we're all sitting around, and the taco conversation with the kid that's a football player, your nephew, is, well, nephew, what about Mail tomorrow night? Can you beat them? What's the game look like? And all families going. And so, the last time we did that was when these seniors were freshmen. And, I kind of kicked myself looking back for not dressing Colby for those games. Just because he's my son, and that could have been a little journey for us, but I didn't. And Colby's always been a little self-conscious of making sure that I don't just do something for him. So really, none of them that are on this team were on that team. And so it's important to get in there and get after it and make a run. And I think we got a great opportunity to do it.
We'll be back next week to talk about the playoffs and that first round game against Jeffersontown. We also spoke with a couple of players about last week's game, the district title, and this week's regular season finale. Let's see what they had to say.
The win over Dunbar gave Scott County its 9th district championship in 10 years.
Coming out my senior year and actually winning the district, it was a real good feeling. We're getting shirts. I think we're really happy about it this season.
You know, just to have 9 out of 10 years, that's a pretty big thing for this defensive unit, and it's a pretty good accomplishment by a team.
Scott County sees a few simple ingredients to its recent success.
I can just say hard work, good practice, great communication. We were a bit shaky, but we've actually started watching film on our own and taking film serious now. So,
yeah, the defense has done extremely well. You know, we've kind of come together as a team and unit, and we just try to do what the coaches tell us and just make plays.
Covington Catholic is a tough matchup heading into this year's playoffs.
That's the last game of the season. You know, it's pretty important. We don't want to lose for sure because that can just bring our momentum down, and we want to keep it going to the playoffs.
We just want to play as hard as we can, never take a play off, and actually move forward.